Hello and welcome to episode 5 of From Zero to Dreamfort. In this episode we'll look at becoming completely self-sufficient and building our full defenses out on the surface. So I'm paused here because a caravan has just arrived, our first caravan from the mountain home, and we have very little to trade. We've been focusing on getting our fort up and running. So let's see, what can we do about this? There's no tattered clothing yet. What is it that we have? Let's ungroup the items so we see value per item, and maybe look inside containers so we don't have the entire container. Alright, so we have wheelbarrows. We can sell some of our wheelbarrows. Those are fairly easy to replace. Our amethysts, we can just sell those straight. Gold nuggets, we'll want to melt those down and create something out of them later. Okay, so why don't we sell some wheelbarrows? So even though these wheelbarrows are assigned to stockpiles, they're going to get recreated by our carpenter. We don't really need to worry about them too much. About 2,000, that's probably as much as we can ask for at this point. Oh, we have an injured citizen. How injured are you? Okay. Okay, we'll have to get that taken care of. Just a minute though, we have meetings to meet. So in the very beginning of the game, what do we need? We need some leather and some cloth. Those are probably our first needs. So let's select leather by value and just get some of the cheap stuff. 54 different kinds of leather is probably too much. Let's deselect some of these. We just want it to be cheap. We don't need to be numerous. Alright, some plant. I'm hitting Control A for select all down here. And cloth. Okay. Let's just keep that. Okay, now they're ready to trade. Let's get our broker up here and trade. Okay. Select everything here. And what do we want on this side? They have leather, they have cloth, they have meat, and cheese. What can we afford? Not much. And we'll buy some meat and fish. Alright. Still doing okay. Okay, all this cloth, that's much easier to use the trade UI for. Check the leather and sort by value. And just get some cheap leather. And Control X to clear the search, and then type in cloth. And just get some cheap cloth. How much can we afford? Holding down Shift and clicking will get me a range. I can get quite a bit. Okay, not you. Up, enter, and then we're back to the green down here. This is what I'm watching down here. Alright, right click out of there and hit trade. Yes, proceed. And now we have some goodies. No trader needed at the depot. You guys can go when you like. And let's go take care of our injured citizen. So luckily, Services 2 is our next step. And going down to our services level, we can plop that down right here. So what we need to do to get a functioning hospital is to assign a doctor. Who is the best doctor? Why, our expedition leader. While you are not hauling stone, you can come down here and heal people. So you're already resting. And there's my doctor coming. Okay, great. And they're now healed. Isn't healthcare amazing? What we just laid down on this level is, of course, the hospital that we just used. We have our dining hall. This will be our main tavern, which includes our main food and drink stocks, which our dwarves are already bringing things over to. This is going to be our jail cells. Our interrogation room. Ooh, right here. Our interrogation room, which will be assigned to the captain of the guard once we assign one. And our drunk tank, which is just, extra restraints for people who need to be incarcerated but don't need long-term imprisonment. Our marksman barracks will be right here, our shooting gallery. This is where our archery targets will be set up, and this is where all of our ammo will be stored. And then finally we have a dump zone right here with a stockpile underneath it. A handy thing to do for this is to put the stockpile underneath your dump zone and then turn on auto claim, so that when items are brought to your dump and then automatically forbidden, they'll then get automatically unforbidden by claim. and you can go and use them. This is handy for example, the next thing that we're going to be doing, which is clearing out this stone from our drainage pipes. Let's set these for dumping, and then they will just get hauled back up to our garbage dump and then automatically unforbidden once they get there. Now, normally dumping is an extremely low priority task that seems to take forever to get done, but since we have prioritize running, it suddenly becomes a high priority. Because when you designate something for dumping, it's usually because you want it dumped now, because it's in the way. We can designate all these bits that are in the areas that are soon going to be underwater. This level you do not need to dump. This is the level above where the water is going to be, so we can leave that just strewn about, no problems there. Now, while they're building this, we need to get a mechanism or 3 and a floodgate to protect ourselves and not let this just drain out infinitely. So let's go back up here. I'll give it to you. Give me a floodgate. There you are. And here, let's queue up a bunch of mechanisms. Oh, look at that. We have a stone in our stairwell up here. Let's dump you. Everything else is clear. This is all clear. If you want to see this all smooth, you can smooth it first, but it's not really required. Let's build our floodgate. When that gets constructed, it'll get, or when it gets produced, it'll get built there. And let's put in a lever right there. All right, you are building some mechanisms. Thank you. Let's go back down here. You build right away. Okay, and you build right away too. Okay, then link this up to the floodgate. Right there. And add in a pull lever job as well. You can see this was also automatically set to be high priority by prioritize. It is linked and pulled, and now the floodgate is open. We want it to be open at first so that while we are digging out our aquifer tap, water doesn't build up and drown our miners. So let's set this to actually mine for real and re-enable mining for our miners. Okay, so we're already having some dolomite up here. If it's purely in a sand layer, you're not going to have anything to dump. But let's get those dumped out. And this is still, yes, this is still all aquifer. Sometimes when you cross region boundaries like this, your aquifer will also disappear. So if that happens, then you have to go dig another aquifer tap somewhere else. But this looks like it's working out just fine. Mark all that for dumping and clear it out. Now, while we were waiting for that to be cleared out, water is accumulating, and if we didn't have this floodgate open, it would start building up here and fill this all up with water. You'll also notice that I did a diagonal passageway right here. This will break the pressure. Water will fall down from above and would normally fill your fort back up with water all the way up to the source line here. But if we go down and have a pressure break like this, then the water will only fill up to this level of the pressure break. That will fill up our cisterns, our 2 Z-level deep cisterns. You want 2 Z-levels here because all the muddy water will stay at the bottom, and this top level will be clear for actual drinking. And the water will just flow where we want it to go and not rise up and flood our fort. And remember, all this is being hauled to our services level and then automatically claimed so that it can be used by our smelters up here. That is why you need your drain open. This is already this much water here. Okay, so now our last unit is out of danger. Our pathway is clear enough. They'll be gone. And we can close this. It's closed, and this will immediately start filling up. There we go. And then the water will come along and fill up our cisterns. Oh, you know what? In our haste, we forgot to enqueue the orders for this level. Let's bring services 2 back up and generate the manager orders, which we forgot to do. Now, among the orders, we have 3 cloth ropes, but we brought those with us. So we go back into here. You can click sort to sort all the one-time orders to the top and just get rid of those ropes. So all that time could have been manufacturing. That is something that's easy to forget. Let's do something similar for surface 5. Going back up to the top here. And you can hit O first, which is what I like to do, to generate the orders. Right click and then left click to lay it down. So here once again we'll have some minecarts because we have more quantum stockpiles to supply minecarts to. And this is going to lay down all of the furniture for our barracks, the stockpiles and the dumpers for our trade goods, our bridges that will keep us safe, some more nest boxes for expanded bird laying. Our first generation is starting to grow to adulthood soon. And then over here will be our beehives. This one is now clear to be dismantled. And we've built another workshop over here for milking and shearing. This is like this farmer's workshop, except that it has the milking and shearing labors enabled, where this one has it disabled. This stockpile here is for cages. We're going to be having a bunch of cage traps along our trap hallways. And so as wildlife or invaders get trapped in there, they'll get hauled in here. And then, one by one, the enemies, not the tameable creatures, but the enemies, will get dragged over and dumped into this quantum stockpile inside of our barracks, where we can then allow our training barracks members to thrash them. We'll get into that later once we have an invasion to take care of. I think at this point, again, we want to specialize our workers for creating furniture. Okay, so where did our minecart go? We sold it. So how do we recover from this? Let's go build another one. And make you top priority. And then use assign minecarts all to reassign it. And then we'll have a functioning quantum stockpile again. We're running out of stone. Okay. Let's see here. We need more stone haulers. Let's set all 3 of you to be dedicated stone haulers. And see if that keeps us ahead of the curve. So I didn't mention this before, but there are 4 Craftsdorf's workshops on this level, and they're each specialized for a different type of item. This one is only for stone crafting. This one is only for wood crafting. This is only for bone carving, and then this one takes up the rest of them. So for our specific bone Craftsdorfs, do we have any specialists? An adequate bone carver, proficient. All right, we'll take a proficient bone carver and assign him there. Okay, how are we doing up on the surface? It looks like all of our bridges are built, but our mechanisms are not. An important part of this step is linking all of these levers to these bridges. Each of the levers are named according to the bridge that they are supposed to be connected to. So right outer gate is going to be connected to the bridge called right outer gate. But mechanisms, we need mechanisms. You are not focusing. Focus. Aha, he's focusing on his stone crafting duties. Do we have another mechanics workshop or another mechanic to assign? This tile right here is not a farm plot because it was bare stone and not soil. We can take care of that by dumping some water on it from above. You can deconstruct that. And we will create a pond zone right here, one by one, and then set it as a pond. Right there. And now we can remove the zone. And go down here and build a farm plot. Right there. And that is how you fill in holes in your above ground farming. And I guess we should fill this hole in too by reconstructing the floor. Let's check on our plumbing. So all of this is nice and full of water, and our water is operational. Excellent. All right, so you are actually done with what you need to do for now. Let's unspecialize you so they can be helpful with hauling and other items. You can tell which bridges you've already hooked up because there's going to be a mechanism in there. So we've done just the one, just the front one. This, the lever will also have an extra mechanism in it if it's already hooked up. So it's a quick way to check even before you click on Show Linked Buildings. Left inner gate, link to here, and left outer gate, link to there. We should also do our inner bridges. Let's link up our barracks, our trade depot. Finally, link up our inner main gate. There we go. Now all the bridges are linked up, and we can move on to the next step, which is building our security perimeter. It may have felt like a long time before we got here, but note that it's still just late winter. We're still in our first year. And let's O for enqueuing orders, blocks, cages, and mechanisms, because there's cage traps involved, and lay it down. You can see the cage traps along our trap hallways, and the rest of it is just walls and floors. So once these walls are built, we can relax a little bit. We're no longer in quite as much danger from being overrun from an early invasion. As our stonecrafters become even more skilled, they will work even faster, and it becomes even more important to have rocks being supplied at a fast enough rate. But it looks like we don't actually need so many right now, so I am going to unassign a few of you and just have 2 on stone hauling duty right now. So we have more people available for building things. Note that even after we have these walls built, we have not yet built the roof. That's the next step. It looks like our planter is not really having enough time for building or for cutting stone blocks, so let's assign someone else for this. Gem cutter, you're now a stone cutter as well, because now we're really getting into the stone block needs, and we need people on this full time. The blueprint specifically lays down the walls first before the floors to ensure that the walls will get built before the flooring. These traps around the entranceway are very useful for picking up wildlife that path is past, and also snatchers that try to come up here right along into your gate and just get caught in these traps. Excellent snatcher protection. And it looks like our bees have been populated. We have 16,000 live honeybees. This center hive is set for do not gather products, so it'll be split. When these other hives have their products gathered from them, it destroys the colony, and this center hive will replenish them. Okay, it looks like we're at a good steady state, and we can queue up surface 7 as well. There we go. Queue up another 127 block jobs, and lay it down. Now that didn't do anything for this level, but it did set up all of our roofing, and that will get attended to as soon as the base layer is done. Another thing that blueprint just did, if we go into our burrows, is set up this burrow around the edge of our fort. This is set as a clear cutting, or it's named clear cutting area, and it's associated with GUI auto chop to keep this area clear cut. As soon as a tree grows in this area, it'll be immediately marked for chopping, and our woodcutter will just run over and chop it down. This is to prevent trees from growing up over the roof and either collapsing onto the roof and causing a cave-in, or allowing invaders to climb up over our walls. This creates a nice safe area that we can then sally out into and attack invaders without having them jump into our inner areas. When I brought up the burrows, you might also have noticed that inside of here is all marked as inside. This extends down through our entire fort, and all of our living areas are marked as part of this burrow. So when we hit our civilian alert, which the inside burrow is registered with, all of our civilians will stay within that area and avoid running out into danger. You'll see more of that when we actually have an attack. And you may also notice I haven't even set up a military at all yet. We're counting on our walls to keep us safe for the short term, and we'll be building up our military once we get to that point. We have a pig. Let's go assign them to our pasture. It's useful every once in a while to click on your pasture and then see only grazers to see who should be put in there. Apparently we've caught a capybara. We'll keep them in the cage for a while until they're a little less than semi-wild. See who's roaming around. Goslings, oops, cats, here's that pig. We'll assign the pig there. And any roaming male egg layers, we'll assign them to our center area so they can grow up there. Now, at this point, you may want to say, okay, this is all ready to be built. We should just put all hands on deck and have them build it. So this is a good time to run prioritize construct building. And that will take all the jobs that are ready to be built, and it'll say, go do these right now. Drop what you're doing, rush over and get them built. So that will get everybody focused on building out everything else that's ready to be built here, and then they can go back to their regular jobs. We still have our dedicated stone haulers hauling stone and our dedicated stone crafters crafting it. All right, I think I will take a break here and bring this episode to a close and let all of my dwarves finish building these blocks and closing up the roof. I'll see you in the next episode where we start addressing making this place fancier. I'll see you then.